The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. It's your boy BT, and we're live. Came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there in the world. It's a busy day in boxing today. I'm going live here now. I'll be on Sean Tatel's channel later on, so stay tuned for that. Gotta talk about. We have to discuss more Gervonta Davis. We have to discuss more Lamont Roach because really and truthfully, there's just been so much that's happened. There's been so much that's taken place since Saturday night, and I'm still astounded. I'm still beside myself that Lamont Roach took his belt off and he just went belt to ass on Tank. That part to me is really mind blowing still. But I got a lot to say about the fight. I have a lot to say about some of the things that have come out in the news since the fight, like things Tank has said, things Tank's trying to do, things Lamont Roach has said, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of time to get in here and get settled in. Make sure you smash that like button if you're here. Definitely give your thoughts. If you got anything to add, give your thoughts. Let me know what city, what state, what continent you're watching from. And yeah, man, shout out to my man Ray. Ray says, Coach is working early. Okay. I don't know. I didn't know my name was Coach, but thank you, man. Thank you. There's only one coach on YouTube. That's Coach Malachi Williams, but shout out to Malachi Williams. But yeah, I'm up and at it with the birds. Got my little workout in. Got my little, what is it? The power bowl in. I'm good. I'm good to go today. I'm ready to talk this boxing. Shout out to my guy, Hand History Vault. He's here. He's in the chat. Good to see you, Hand History. Yeah, man. Lot to say, man. Lot of things to discuss. And, let's get into it. Let's get into it. If you guys want to support the channel, you guys on the deal. Got the Cash App right there. $ Just a Kid from Dania. If you like what's going on and you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. PayPal, True School Sports at 2012 at gmail.com. Anything and everything will be appreciated. Now, anyway, let's get into it, man, because I feel like what did Bone Thugs and Harmony say back in the day? They had that song, The Crossroads. I see you at the crossroads. Boom, 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 boom. We're at the crossroads of Gervonta Davis's career. Like, I feel like in boxing, he's become a very polarizing figure in the boxing community. Tank is either to many people in boxing, he's either like a guy they look at as a pound for pound top tier upper echelon fighter, or he's a fraud. He's in a witness protection plan. He's not good. He's an American hype job. If certain people that just hate everything that's in America with boxing, they would call Tank an Amero bum, whatever the case may be. But either way you cut it upside down, I said, whether you're on the right side, whether you're on the left side of Tank's career, the reality is that he is at a crossroads. He's at a crossroads in his career where his next fight against Lamont Roach will determine if he is going to be a guy that's a pound for pound fighter, a fighter that can one day realize his potential and become a legend in the sport, or unfortunately, because I like Tank, so this is not me saying this. It's just he hasn't fought the best competition, right? He don't got, like, for me with Tank, I'm in the middle. I don't think Tank is like a top 5 fighter in boxing or nothing like that. I would probably say at best he's the 10th best fighter in the world just because he hasn't had the strength of opposition. But I feel like his resume is mid. It's in the middle. Like, it's not as bad as everybody says it is, and it's not as good as his fanboys like to make it out either. It's just right there, smack dab in the middle. You see what I'm saying? So he has a lot to prove. He has a lot to prove. Obviously, the fight that a lot of people wanted to see was the Shakur Stevenson fight. Honestly, that fight gets pushed back to the wayside now because now the Lamont Roach fight, I feel, is the biggest fight that he needs to take for his legacy, right? And like, I interviewed Leon Muhammad earlier in the last week, and he was like, "Oh, fuck legacy. Legacy doesn't pay bills, but legacy is important. Legacy can contribute towards paying the bills when you're talking about being in the boxing game, being in the boxing industry. You feel me? So I just feel as though, my Tank voice, I feel as though Tank needs to take the Lamont Roach fight again. And he's reached a crossroads in more ways than one. He's reached a crossroads in his career, but I also feel like Tank has reached a crossroads with his style, like his style of fighting. He's always been what some people will call a checkmate fighter. Like he sits on his back foot. He waits for his opponents to make mistakes. He lands aggressive counter punches. He knocks you out, right? And he's been doing that great for a lot of years. He did it with Ryan, been doing it with Frank, been doing it with a whole host of fighters. But like Gervonta Davis can't fight like that forever. And I think now he knows that he needs to tweak some things in his style because he got a guy Lamont Roach who sat in the pocket, who took his best shots, who was matching him punch for punch, and who was consistently winning the exchanges. So Tank, I think Dan Canobio did an interview, and it was revealed that Tank throws the least amount of punches per round of any like champion or something like that. It was a stat like that where he throws like 32 punches on average per round, which is not a lot, you know. So he needs, and the thing is, it's not like Tank isn't capable of throwing more punches. He throws punches with a lot of heat. He can throw punches from different angles. He can throw punches down the center. He can throw punches around the flanks. He can throw punches a whole lot of ways. And I don't see why he doesn't throw more punches, honestly. But you know, with Lamont Roach, one thing's for sure, and two things for certain, he's gonna have to throw more punches. And I feel like you know, his career has definitely reached a crossroads. Is he gonna be a boxing legend or is he gonna be a boxing fraud? Because really and truthfully, that's where he's at. If he loses against Lamont Roach, unfortunately, because of how he was moved early in his career, and you know the way he talked early in his career, and the precedent they set early in his career, if he loses to Lamont Roach, he's gonna be looked at as a boxing fraud. A lot of people already look at him as a boxing fraud for even having a competitive fight with Lamont Roach, which is why you know I always harp about, and I'm always so adamant about fighters making big fights happen at the right time, at the appropriate time, not marinating it, not waiting, because this is what can happen. You can fight someone that you're a heavy favorite against, and you could look bad. You could get a controversial decision. You could lose, and now it devalues your brand and your aura and your reputation. So you know we'll see how it goes. But we got comments here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got my man Rusty Gage. He says salute. He said that Tank seems afraid of getting hit. It certainly seems like that. Like, funny enough, right? I remember when he fought Rolly. Everyone, when it comes to the Rolly fight, people only remember the knockout, and that's how boxing is in general. People can sometimes forget how the fight actually played out. But when he fought Rolly, if you guys remember that fight, Rolly was very, very rugged with Tank. He was in the pocket. He was using that physical strength. He was doing a whole lot to deter and make the fight real physical with Tank. And Tank didn't look comfortable in that fight, and he did a lot of complaining to the referee in that fight. The only problem was that Rolly couldn't really exploit that weakness of Tank's complaining because Rolly just wouldn't let his hands go. Lamont Roach had a more calculated game plan. He had the wherewithal to hang in the pocket with Tank, and he had the skills and the know-how to duck, slip, block, counter, all those things in the pocket. So, you know, I think one of his weaknesses in that fight came to a head in this fight. My man right here says, BT, last week I saw Ryan spar Jaime at the gym I train at in the House of Boxing in San Diego. Okay, shout out to you. Hopefully it went well. We seen why Tank wanted 140 million to fight Loma. It's clear why Tank made the negotiation so difficult. Yeah, I mean, I'll get to that later on. I don't think that was a fight that Tank and the parties involved really ever wanted early in his career. That's how I feel. Tank is a very good fighter, but hasn't done much. Wasted talent. I wouldn't say he hasn't done much. I mean, look at his life. He came from the Baltimore projects, which is like one of the roughest places in America, and he became one of the biggest stars of boxing. So that is something. And he has beat some good. He beat some good fighters. I won't say he beat no great fighters, but he beat Isaac Cruz. He beat Frank Martin. He beat Pedraza. He beat certain guys, but I like him, and I'm happy for what he's done for American boxing as far as generating attention. But the attention and the hype, as of the Lamont Roach fight, it doesn't quite match. So people are well within their rights to say he's overrated right now. He's a lot to prove. A lot of you guys mentioned. I'm gonna get to Lomachenko later in the live, but I did hear about that. Yep, I heard about that. Tank will always be a fraud for needing a tune-up, tiny ring more, and camp rehydration clause catchphrase for him to feel like he needed so many advantages. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, Tank's one of the only fighters in boxing that actually fights around his walk around weight. Most fighters in boxing don't do that, and they like to weight bully. So I'm actually not against the clauses because a lot of these dudes like Devin and Ryan, they be rehydrated like 160, 170 on fight night. You know, Tank fights right around his walk around weight. So I mean, I feel like he should. Honestly, if Tank doesn't want to fight these big ass dudes at 135, I feel like Tank should fight at 130 because he's been fighting a lot of 130 pounders. He fought he fought Lamont Roach, who was a 30 pounder, correct? Before he fought Lamont Roach, before that, like he fought Frank Martin, then he fought Hector Garcia, 30 pounder. He had Mark Marksile as a backup opponent for this fight, 130 pounder. He's been arguing on Twitter with Raymond Ford, who's a 130 pounder. I feel like Tank should be at 130, honestly. Because the guys at 135, they rehydrate real big. So if you don't want to put those clauses and get that kind of criticism, he should go down to 130, which I'm sure he can make. You know? But shout out to everybody here. Make sure you guys leave your comments, hit the like button, subscribe for new, hit the super chat as well. Listen, man. Next talking point. The rematch. Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach in the rematch because this is a big fight. It's crazy how boxing changes in one fight because before this fight even happened, I remember in December, and I want to really apologize to Lamont Roach. I didn't give him a fair shake like I should have. I was saying that this is a very uncompetitive fight. I was saying that this has the potential to be one of the most uncompetitive pay-per-view matches of all time, and I stand very happily corrected and humbly corrected. Lamont Roach can fight his ass off. Lamont Roach proves that he belongs in the lightweight division with the top guys, and he proves that he belongs on the biggest stage. So you look at I know Crawford versus Canelo is probably you could probably say Crawford versus Canelo will be the biggest fight in boxing this year, right? I think so. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it's promoted, but when it comes to boxing in America, PBC does a great job of promoting boxing in the States. Like when it comes to big events, even though they don't have a lot of events. Tank Davis is as big of a star as anybody. Lamont Roach has done a great job being a great dance partner, and a lot of people thought he won. He gained a whole lot of fans in this fight with Tank. So I feel like a lot of people, because you got to understand how people work. You got to understand human nature. Human nature loves to see the underdog rise to the top, and human nature also loves to see somebody who's on top fall down. So I think a lot of people, when and if this fight gets made, the rematch versus Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, I think it could be the biggest fight in boxing because a lot of people are going to tune in just to see Tank lose, so they can come on, so they can say he got exposed. They're going to tune into my videos so they can hear me say Gervonta Davis exposed by Lamont Roach. They want to see that. You hear me? You feel me? So for that reason, I think it'll be a big deal. I really feel like for the rematch, they got to do it big. Like PBC, Al Heyman, here's a free True School advisory tip, free of charge again. Right? I'm going to have to start charging you guys because I can't be giving out so much free game to the people out there. But I feel like Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, when they do the rematch, it should be in the DMV area. Let it be in D.C., let it be in Baltimore, because that's why I feel the fight could be the best atmosphere. They did Tank versus Hector Garcia in DC. They should do Roach versus Tank in DC because it'll be a split crowd. It'll be a raucous environment. I feel like that's where the rematch could be as great as it possibly can be. And then obviously in the ring, it's going to be crazier because psychologically speaking, Lamont Roach now knows he can take Gervonta Davis's power and hurt him, right? Because he did it multiple times in the fight and made him take a knee. Tank now knows he needs to throw more punches to win this fight. So I expect the rematch to be even better than the first fight. And the first fight was really good. So I think the rematch has a lot of potential. Both guys have done a great job talking shit going into the fight, building it up. Both guys, there was a great storyline with this fight heading in just because of the rivalry from the amateurs days. And them both being from the same area. So this rematch, I think, has a chance to be one of the best rematches boxing seen in a long time. And I'm just hoping that in 2025 it could get right, it could get done, because there's been talk about like what Tank's gonna do and who he's gonna fight next, and we've been hearing things about Lomachenko, which I'll get to here in a second. But yeah, I do think the Lamont Roach Tank rematch could be the biggest fight in boxing. You know, let me see. Let me get to some comments because I see a whole lot of comments. Let me see. It just felt weird seeing Tank getting hurt and manhandled in there. Well, look, that's what I'm saying. Like, no fighter's invincible, no fighter's untouchable. Like everybody, like a lot of the Tank fans thought that Tank couldn't go in there and get manhandled. Any fighter can go in there and get manhandled. If they got 2 arms and 2 legs, they could. Any fighter can put belt to ass on another fighter. You know, so this week it's Tank. You know, in a month or so, it could be Inoue. You know, it could be Usyk. It could be anybody in boxing. Any fighter can get their ass whooped, and that's why we watch boxing. Then Calvin pushes buttons while not being in his corner 100%. We'll get to that, but something is up with those two. Like, and it's crazy because in the media during fight week, a lot of us in boxing in the media had discussions amongst ourselves that we could sense something is not right with Gervonta Davis and Calvin Ford, and it really showed in the corner. They need to get it right. Do I agree with Canelo's weight clauses? No, I don't. Because Canelo Alvarez, and I really don't want to start talking about Canelo and answer this question, but I'll answer it because you asked. Canelo Alvarez was weight draining fighters. Like he weight drained Matthew Hatton, you know, when he fought for his first world title. So he was doing that from the beginning. But in certain situations, he needs to. Tank's defense is not the greatest. It seems like he has CTE already. Everyone says he has CTE. I don't think he has CTE. I think he's just from Baltimore. That's how they talk. That's how they talk over there. There's dudes that don't even box that talk like Tank from Baltimore. You know? So many haters, and so much division in boxing. It's messed up the sport. Yeah, it has. It's really hard. It's really hard to enjoy it sometimes. That's why sometimes I gotta like refrain from talking about certain fighters at certain points in time because it's just so much division. It gets annoying. BT, come to my gym in San Diego. Team Canelo has a training camp here, and I want to meet you. I'm a fan of the channel. Listen, man, I love San Diego. I've been to San Diego twice. I haven't gone to San Diego since 2022. But San Diego is one of my favorite cities in America. I would say San Diego is probably, you know, excluding South Florida, I would say San Diego is probably my second favorite city in America. I would say might even be honestly, San Diego it might even be number one, apart from like cities in South Florida where I'm biased. But I would love to come to San Diego. I'm not sure when I'll be out west again. Or when I'll be in California, I should say. I don't know when I'll be out there again. But I would love to meet you, man. Get in touch with me on Instagram, at Just a Kid from Daniel, or on Twitter, at True School Sports. You can find that in the About section of my YouTube channel, and the links are there. Contact me on there, and we'll stay in touch for sure. Thank you. In fact, into Roach's performance in the UK, there is a concept called the local derby where two teams opponent. Yeah, I mean that's like in English, like Premier League in soccer. You know, when you have that familiarity with somebody, you know, dudes start fighting above their skill level, or teams, like even in soccer, teams start playing above their skill level. So we'll see. Who knows just how good Lamont Roach is. I think Lamont Roach is better than we thought. Like I think that much is certain. And when I go back and I review his career, you know, he was always a little bit better than he got credit for, and he showed it on the biggest stage of his career. So there you have it. Let me see. The I Just Got My Hair Done 2 days ago remix is fire. It is fire. For those of you who haven't seen it, go check out that I Just Got My Hair Done remix. They got Tank's quotes from the interview, and they got like a little beat, and it's crazy. They made a whole song out of Tank's post-fight interview. I can't believe it. All right, last comment, and then I'll go to my next speaking point. 12-3 says, man, Lamont's dad was mad as fuck after the results of the amateur fight, which told me it was close. I never thought it was going to be a blowout, and that was a shit ton of boo birds at the Tank fight for him to be the so-called face. It makes me wonder. Yeah, look, man, boxing fans, I mean, there were more Tank fans at the fight than there was Roach. But what I can say is boxing fans are honest. If a guy goes there and gets his ass whooped, for the most part, the people at the fights, if you got an unjust decision, they're going to let you know about it. So that's one thing I do like about boxing is, like, even if a guy is the favorite, 90% of the crowd's with him, if he gets his ass whooped and it's that clear and he gets a decision, most of the time the crowd will be honest and, let their feelings be known. So, yeah. But I want to address this. But this is my next speaking point. This is my next speaking point in regards to Tank, right? Because I feel like every time a big fighter, whether it be Canelo or like Andrade or just any fighter that's lost over the years, now with Tank, Anthony Joshua, whenever a fighter loses a fight, I hate when dick riding ass fans of other fighters act like their fighter got in the ring and beat him themselves. So, for example, I've been seeing all over social media a lot of the Shakur Stevenson fans saying that, like, oh, well, this just proves that Shakur Stevenson would have beat Tank. And I hate to break it to you, but just because Lamont Roach stood in the pocket and Lamont Roach showed pound for pound skills and Lamont Roach hurt Tank doesn't mean Shakur Stevenson would. I'll tell you like this right now. Straight up. I still don't think Shakur Stevenson would beat Tank. Even with him, even with Tank getting his ass up by Lamont Roach, I don't think that Shakur Stevenson would beat Tank. Because Shakur Stevenson don't fight nothing like Lamont Roach. Nothing. I mean, first and foremost, Lamont Roach's style, if you've watched Lamont Roach and you followed him throughout the duration of his career, which I have. I even covered his fight against Rene Alvarado in 2021 on the undercard of Gilberto Soto Ramirez and Yuniesi Gonzalez, and asked him a question, which I didn't even realize I asked Lamont a question in 2021 at the press conference. I just seen that today, and I dropped it on my shorts. So that was pretty cool and pretty crazy to see. But, like, Lamont Roach has always been a front foot dominant fighter, a fighter that makes his living in the pocket, counter punching, going to the body, right there in the pocket. That's who he is. That is not who Shakur Stevenson is. Now, can Shakur Stevenson fight in the pocket? Yes. He's shown that ability at times against guys who couldn't hurt him. But for the most part, Shakur Stevenson is a mid-range, long-range fighter who likes to, use his legs, take those little half steps back, make you fall short. And that's how he gets his work done. That's Shakur Stevenson. That's who he's always been. And that's who I'm sure he'll still be. Gervonta Davis is a low-volume fighter, like, as far as his punch output. Shakur Stevenson is a low punch fighter. So that fight would be a chess match. That would be a fight where Gervonta Davis would try to counterpunch Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson would try to wait out Tank the same way Lamont Roach did. But it would look different. You're not going to get as many of the same exchanges you got in the Lamont Roach fight because it is not within Shakur Stevenson's skill set and mental makeup to fight that way. So even though Lamont Roach put belt to ass on Tank, even though Lamont Roach did great against Tank, and even though the majority of the boxing world thinks Lamont Roach can beat Tank, doesn't mean Shakur Stevenson will. And I'm tired of fans acting like just because another fighter looked good or beat the fighter that they're a fan of, is rivals with, that somehow gives their fighter some sort of credit. No, you got to hop your ass up in the ring and you got to go beat them. You got to go show them you can do that. And Shakur Stevenson has not done that yet. So if they fight, I'm still favoring Tank over Shakur. As crazy as that sounds right now, because how pedestrian Tank looked. What do y'all think? Shout out to everybody in the comments. My man Raw Dog says Tank is overrated. Yeah. Shakur probably does outbox Tank PT. Maybe he would. But my thing is, like, it would be a different type of a fight, and I'm not so sure that he would outbox Tank. I'm not. Like, he's not gonna sit in the pocket with Tank, right? And he's gonna get hit. Like, at some point, he's gonna get hit, and I'm still very. That fight, like, Tank looking how he looked against Lamont Roach actually makes me more intrigued about the Shakur Stevenson fight if they do decide to fight. Rico Ransom says, fact, Shakur hasn't been looking the best either. I hate when boxing fans do that. I hate it. I hate it too. Like, I hate it. I hate it I just hate it in general. I hate it for all fighters because, like, you can't do math in boxing, right? Because, look, one of the main talking points that a lot of people used for this fight heading in was, oh, well, Lamont Roach lost to Jamel Herring, So that just means he's gonna lose to Tank, and then boom, what happened? That didn't happen. The funny thing is, right? Funny thing is, Jamel Herring is crazy. It's crazy that I'm about to say this, but y'all listen real good. Jamel Herring did what Tank could not do. Yeah, Jamel Herring. Yeah, the military. Semper Fi. Jamel Herring did what Gervonta Davis could not do, and he conclusively beat Lamont Roach. So put some respect on Jamel Herring's name. Stop disrespecting fighters. It's like there's so many examples of boxing math that I could use that works out like that. Like Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos, right? But Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez. But Lomachenko stopped George Kambosos. So triangle theories do not work. Let this be a learning example to boxing fans that triangle theories in boxing do not work. Right? Like any fighter can get their ass whooped. Just because they lost to a fighter who you think is less than the fighter you're dick riding does not mean that they can't get their ass whooped, you know? So I'll leave it at that. Let me see. He says, sorry, BT, but Roach just look at Trey Pitt gone wrong where Tank was off. Roach looked so terrible against Herring. I don't think he looked that bad against Herring. I think he was 24 years old. He was a younger fighter at that time. That was 2019, right? So we're in 2025. He's 30 years old now, so he matured. Like I always tell you guys, fighters can progress and fighters can regress. He's a much better fighter than he was back then. And if you go back and you watch that fight, you know, he had a lot of success in the second half of that fight. He just needed to pick up the pace and step it on the gas a little earlier. And truth be told, you know, Lamont Roach, he fought Jamel Herring when Jamel Herring was at his best and the most confident. You know, like Top Rank didn't match Shakur Stevenson up with Jamel Herring until fights at like what, a couple fights after Lamont Roach. Jamel Herring was really never the same after Lamont Roach, to be honest with you. Canelo, Mayweather, and Pacquiao all use catch weights. Interesting how many asterisks modern successful fighters have on their CV. Every fighter's done it. Miguel Cotto did it as well. Every fighter's done it, you know? That's why I'm saying, like, there's a saying in boxing circles. They say that a fighter is only as good as his team, right? Because the fighter's job is to train their ass off and get into the best shape possible, physically, mentally, and spiritually speaking, so that they can perform on the night. This is why you have managers. This is why you have, you know, advisors, people behind you that have your best interests, that will negotiate and go to war and win those wars. Because a lot of times in boxing, especially big time boxing, the wars are won. The first wars of boxing are won in the negotiating room, at the negotiating table. So a fighter is only as good as his team, and you need to have a team that looks out for your best interest and looks at you as a top tier upper echelon fighter. You can't just have a team that concedes to every little demand. They gotta have some pushback. They gotta get some resistance, and they gotta negotiate with whoever it is and get the best scenario for their fighter. You know, so a fighter is only as good as a team. Herring pieced up Roach, and Herring was pretty mediocre even at his peak. He even had a knockdown which is uncounted for against Roach. I mean, look, he was a decent fighter. I'm not gonna hate on Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring, actually, I respect him a lot because, you know, he was a PBC fighter, got his ass waxed by Denis Shafikov, and then turned his career around, became world champion. So I respect fighters that lose fights and can come back and become champion and defend it a couple times, and that's what he did. So I'm not gonna do that. All I'm saying is that Lamont Roach was 24 years old, and the average male brain doesn't even fully develop till the age of 25. So you can't hold losses against fighters early in their career. I don't feel like you should, especially like if they lost at 24 and then the next big fight is like at 30 years old. Like, let me ask y'all a question. Are you the same person you were 6 years ago? Because I know I sure as hell ain't the same person 6 years ago. Not even close. So if Tank is overrated, then move the goalpost for Roach to 140. If Tank is overrated, why would Roach has to go to 140 now? What do you mean to 140? Now you're gonna shit on Tank because he was supposed to shit on Roach. It's like shit on Roach overall. I'm not shitting on Tank. I like Tank. I'm just saying Tank has a lot to prove. That's all I'm saying. Tank has a lot to prove, and I'm not gonna ignore what these four eyes saw on fight night. You know, like this prescription thankfully still works. Lamont Roach put belt to ass on Tank and beat him. Let's see. Shout out to Hyro with the first comment of the live from him. He says Lamont Roach never unified with Miguel Berchelt. We know the matchmaking at Top Rank is superb. Lamont Roach was never a champion at 130 at the same time as Berchelt. What are you talking about? You mean Herring? Come on. JW says, shout out to Roach. Him shaking up 135 is awesome. Yes, it is awesome. This is why I love boxing, because we're over here, and we're talking about Shakur. I'm bitching and moaning with Sean to telling the lies about Tank not fighting Shakur, and this, that, and the third, and then boom, Lamont Roach shakes up the whole division, and now he's now a player. So ain't that great? Ain't that beautiful? BT, pull up to NYC for the press conference today. We need the content. I'm not going to that shit. I'm not going to New York for that. But I'll watch it. I'll watch it and I'll see what's said. You know, but I'm not going to that. But I will be there. I'll be there for the fight because it's gonna be free. It's gonna be free. It's gonna be right there on Times Square. So I'll be out there. So if any of y'all wind up going to New York in May for the fights, I'll be there. Another PBC fighter fighting a non-PBC guy and having a tough fight. I hear you. I hear you, MEZBX, and I definitely understand your point, but it's not even about PBC in this scenario. It's the fact that, you know, Lamont Roach is a Probox fighter. Yeah, shout out to Probox. Because Probox, listen, Probox has done such a great job. Probox has been around for 3 years now. They made such a big impact in boxing in these last 3 years. Probox has fostered a great culture of, you know, 50-50 fights, the best fighting the best, you know, tough fights, live competition. And every time one of these Pro Box fighters goes onto a promotion, like another promotion in a big environment, they always come to fight and they always do well. Lamont Roach versus Tank, Angelo Lea versus Bernardo Lopez, Trevor McCummey versus Caleb Plant, and the list goes on and on and on. The Pro Box fighters that continue to fight these guys from the big promotional companies, the top promotional companies, and either beat their ass or give them hell in a loss. So, yeah, shout out to Pro Box. Shout out to my boy Keenan K TV. What's good, Keenan? Hope all is well. I'm just imagining the Tank crash out when they take his O. Listen, and you know what? That's actually the perfect segue, because that was my next thing I was going to talk about. Is the Nevada State, not Nevada, the New York State Athletic Commission. Supposedly they're reviewing the fight, and, you know, in boxing, it's damn near like Haley's Comet. It's like winning the lottery when one of these commissions actually overturns a decision. But if there was ever a time to overturn a decision, it would be this fight, because there's clear evidence on the replays of Steve Willis counting. Like, Steve Willis was counting. Steve Willis was going ahead and he called a knockdown pretty much. And then Tank pulled the okie doke, and Steve Willis lost control of the ring. And I think he was scared of Tank, and he just lost authority of the fight and didn't call the knockdown. So there's enough evidence and there's enough grounds to call that a knockdown and give Lamont Roach the win. And they should give him the win, because it's the right thing to do. Will it hurt PBC? Yes. Will it hurt boxing in America? 1,000%. But who gives a damn? Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm all for doing what's right, fair, and just. I saw there was a report that came out that said that the New York State Athletic Commission had a hard time accessing replay, and that's why they couldn't review replay during the fight. Like, no, that's bullshit. You didn't review the replay because you knew it was a knockdown and you didn't want to mess with those scorecards. So, will they turn over the decision? I'm not so sure. But for some reason, Lamont Roach sounds really confident that they are going to overturn it. Lamont Roach he tweeted yesterday, and he said that, and I quote, and I'm paraphrasing. Word on the street is that your favorite fighter is going to be 30-1, not 30-0-1. So he's got some sort of reason to believe that they're going to overturn this, and if they do, then like boxing in the lightweight division has already been shaken up by just how poor Tank looked on the night. It's going to look even crazier. Y'all imagine how crazy. Can y'all imagine the scenes that we're going to have here on YouTube, on this channel, and all the channels, and just boxing in general, in the boxing community, if Gervonta Davis gets this fight overturned and has a loss in his record to Lamont Roach? Oh, man. I actually think, and hear me out, boxing industry, hear me out. If they make this fight a loss on his record, with that kind of controversy, I think the rematch will be even bigger. Like, the rematch will be bigger if they put a loss on Tank's record than if they don't put a loss on Tank's record and they just leave it as it is. So I think for the greater good of the sport, they should put the loss on Tank's record. So Tank has to really go in the lab and do some soul searching and really like come back with his best. And then I think it would be good for boxing because, you know, Tank's gonna argue and say he didn't lose, right? And we're gonna get a lot of great sound bites from that. Lamont Roach, you know, is still gonna have a lot to prove because there's a lot of people out there in the world that feel like it wasn't about what he did in the ring that night. It was about Tank having an off night. And truth be told, like I saw Al Bernstein's hating ass on Twitter. You know, shout out to Al Bernstein, longtime boxing commentator, accomplished. I respect him, but he's hating because this dude wrote a whole paragraph on Twitter talking about some well, Lamont's a capable fighter, but it wasn't really about Lamont. It was about Tank, and Tank didn't do this. And no, be quiet. Like, sit down, be humble, and be quiet. It wasn't. Listen, Tank didn't fight no differently in this fight than he normally fights. What is Tank normally in this fight? He's a counterpuncher. He's a very patient counterpuncher who normally gives up the early rounds. Why do you think in the build-up to every damn Tank fight, whether it's Roach, Barrios, Rolly, Ryan Garcia, whoever he fights, one of the questions the media always asks him is, or asks his opponents is, can Tank afford to have a slow start against you? He's known for starting slow. So he didn't do anything in this fight that he doesn't normally do. His best rounds and some of the only rounds I gave him on my scorecard were the middle rounds, right? Which is where he normally gets knockouts, where he was really sitting down on shots. The best punches he landed in the fights were in the middle rounds, right? So nothing really changed here. What was different was the opponent, which was Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach showed incredible patience in the early rounds to not overcommit, to not overextend. A lot of these guys, what happens is Tank is so patient and he circles the ring so much, waiting for that counterpunch opportunity, that these guys will sacrifice their they'll sacrifice their balance and they'll sacrifice their distance to reach. They reach, like they'll reach beyond their punching range to try to land a punch on Tank. And when they reach, that's when Tank teaches, and that's when he starts really landing those knockout punches. Roach did not do that, which is why Tank had such a hard time landing big shots in the fight. Roach also showed really good defense in the pocket, slipping shots, rolling shots, countering, also winning the exchanges, pushing Tank back with the straight right hand to the body, the straight right hand to the head, the left hook. I mean, when Tank tried to get physical on the inside, Lamont Roach wasn't having none of that. No silent agreements, no playing nice, no playing fair on the inside. He handled Tank the way fighters are supposed to handle Tank, you know, and he wasn't intimidated. So it wasn't just because Tank had some sort of off night. It's because Lamont Roach on that night. Now we'll see. We'll see how good he is moving forward. I think Lamont Roach is better than we all thought, but we'll see if he can sustain this type of skill level, because we've seen it a lot of times in boxing throughout history where a guy is a big underdog and he has one magical night where he performs well, and the next fight he comes back and he doesn't really do anything. Look at Buster Douglas, look at Andy Ruiz, and the list goes on and on and on. So, now Lamont Roach has our attention. He has people taking him serious now, and he needs to continue to do what he's doing, because I was thoroughly impressed with what he brought to the table and what he showed on the night. And it's not like Lamont Roach, he did surprise me, but I'm not a person that that wasn't my first or second time watching Lamont Roach. I've covered Lamont Roach for years on this channel. I've watched Lamont Roach fight 7 or 8 times. or yeah, like 6 or 7 times before this fight. So I was very familiar with his skill set, and I studied a whole lot before this fight. But it goes to show you that no matter what you say, no matter how much you study a fighter, or you think you know what you know, sometimes you can't measure what's going on inside and what being on the big stage can bring out of a fighter. So will the New York State Athletic Commission overturn the decision? They definitely should. Tank reaches as well. He just waits for you to repeat yourself. He just waits for you to reach yourself. I agree. I agree. I agree. Tank finally met a guy who wasn't intimidated by him and could take his punch and come in with a good game plan. I think I heard you or Zatel say that this might end up being a Roy Jones Jr. versus Tarver type rivalry. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Maybe Sean said that, but yeah, yeah, yeah. MEZBX. The rematch should be at the Capital One Arena where the Washington Wizards play. I 1000% agree, for sure, for sure. There's no other way to there's no other venue that I think would be better than that arena. You know, the Barclays Center of DC, pretty much. Hyro says, BT, you didn't even give them up. I didn't. I didn't. As much as I watched them throughout the years, and I watched the Feargal McCrory fight. I watched Hector Garcia. I covered his fight against Rene Alvarado in San Antonio. Like, I watched Lamont Roach, but I didn't think he would do I didn't think he would be able to do what he did on fight night, and credit to him. Broner will have a better legacy than Tank. A lot of people like to shit on Adrian Broner, but Adrian Broner was like the opposite of Tank. Like, everyone always says like Tank hasn't fought anybody, which I don't think that's true either. But his resume is kind of mid, right? He needs to be in those legacy fights. The Lamont Roach rematch has now become a legacy fight thanks to Tank's poor performance. But like Broner, his problem was that he always fought, like, not always, but he fought a lot of top guys. Sometimes he was too brave for his own good. He fought Maidana. He fought Mikey Garcia. Did Al Heyman and Golden Boy back in the day maneuver him into some favorable outcomes to get easy world titles? Yes, that did happen at some times in his career, but he beat some good guys, man. He beat, like, the Antonio DeMarco was a very good win for him, and he looked special that fight. So I've always respected Broner because Broner, win, lose, or draw, fought some good fighters, man. He fought Porter. He fought Adrian Granados when Adrian Granados was firing on all cylinders. I mean, Broner had a good resume, and yeah, he's got his problems outside the ring. We all have our demons we're dealing with, but one thing he didn't do was duck smoke. Shout out to everybody here. Shout out to everybody here. Make sure you smash the like button. Henderson Revolt says Roach is getting too much credit. It was a standard Tank fight. Tank losing to the cars. Tank just didn't get the knockout this time around. Roach barely did anything until round 7. Tank is just trash. Nah, Tank isn't trash, and Roach is not. I don't think Roach is getting enough credit. He might be getting too much credit on this channel because I'm just countering all the people that are downing him, right? Because I was I was one of those people that was downing him too. I didn't think he had much of a chance. But he proved me wrong. So that's how I can't speak for anybody else in the boxing media or with YouTube channels. But the way I operate is this: if I have a strong opinion about you, and you go in there and you prove me wrong the way Lamont Roach did, or the way like other fighters have in the past, I got zero problems giving you credit. I'll be the first one to give you your credit, and I'm keeping that same energy here. Skywalker Boxing Media. Shout out to my guy Skywalker. He says a lot of them Probox guys get title shots too. They do, and a lot of time when they get title shots, they always go ahead and they show you guys what they can do under the lights. Bring the dog out of Tank. As we've seen, Tank didn't do anything different, so Tank can up his game. He needs to be focused and I think so. I think now you can't just get by on power and explosiveness and talent. Now it's time where Tank has to really, dial all the way in. I'm not saying he wasn't dialed in for this fight because I know one of Tank's I know Tank's only sparring partner. For those of you who don't know, Tank only had one sparring partner for this fight, and that sparring partner was Joseph Macedo. Joseph Macedo is a very good friend of mine in boxing. I've known Joseph since 2017. Me and Joseph Macedo were in the same camp house in New Mexico for the Angelo Leo fight. I think because we were in New Mexico for what, like 5-6 weeks, and Joseph was there like the first 2 or 3 weeks. So we know each other pretty well. And so he's told me about those tank sparring sessions. I know a little bit more than most people about the camp. And from what I've gathered, it wasn't a matter of Tank not working hard. Tank busted his ass for that fight. I just think it's more of a habitual adjustment Tank needs to make. He needs to get to a place in his career where he's now throwing more punches per round. He can't just be throwing 20 punches around, 25 punches around. I want to see Tank get to a place where he can throw. I feel like a good number would be like 40 punches around, but like 40 punches that count per round. 40 to 43 punches around will be good. Tank was getting bullied at points in the fight by a guy who came up from lower weight. If that isn't impressive, I don't know. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. I mean, Lamont Roach is a big 130 pounder. So, but still, Lamont Roach had fought at 135 in the past in his career, and clearly, like, his handlers and his people didn't think that he was a guy that could win a world title at 135, which is why they moved him down to 130, right? So that was my mentality going into the fight, and he showed me that he's a top tier 135 pounder. That's crazy to me. Roach was more than trash half the fight. No, you're out of you're wrong. You're wrong because Roach in the first half of the fight, Roach's plan was to keep everything straight down the middle. Don't open up too much. And slow the pace down and get Tank to come on the front foot. That was all by design. But that's my opinion. But anyway, I guess this will pivot into our next point, our next talking point. Make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Going live right now. I'll be on Sean Tatel's channel later on today, and then he'll post his stuff later on too, probably. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys have been enjoying the Sean Tatel collaborations. It's something that me and him are doing a lot more. We're doing it every week, so please give me your guys' feedback. If you've watched the videos of me and Sean Tatel, feel free to let me know what do you guys think about our collabs. But how good is Lamont Roach? How good is he? Because as you guys can see, a lot of people are very hesitant to give the man his credit. They want to say it was just Tank being trash. They want to say he didn't fight good the first 6 rounds of the fight. But how good is he? Because, funny enough, right? Lamont Roach, when he was an amateur, he was one of the top amateurs in the country. He wasn't an Olympian, but he was a top, amateur in America. But he was a top amateur at a time where, like, a lot of guys ahead were looked at to be ahead of him, right, of his amateur class. And so what happened with Lamont Roach early in his career was that he signed with Golden Boy Promotions, which, shout out to them. They built him up to a certain point, but it did put Lamont behind the 8 ball a little bit because let's just be honest and let's be fair. Golden Boy is primarily a Mexican-American company, right? And they do the best work for the most part signing Mexican fighters. Now, Lamont Roach signed with Golden Boy at a point in time that was pre-PBC, right? So he signed in that weird period where Golden Boy hadn't had their best fighters taken from PBC yet, and then he was still under contract when all the biggest names from Golden Boy went to PBC when PBC started up, like Deontay Wilder and Broner and those guys. So he was an East Coast fighter who didn't get the chance to build himself on the East Coast and was fighting on the West Coast on a lot of these like Mexican fighters cards. And most of the time, he would be buried deep on these undercards. Like the example I could give you was the fight I covered when he fought Rene Alvarado. That fight was very early on the Gilberto Ramirez, Yunies Gonzalez undercard, and he fought beneath Sinisa Estrada. Yes, on that card, Sinisa Estrada fought Maria Santizio. She was the co-main event. Lamont Roach was beneath her, so he was buried deep, and he didn't get the chance to really get that platform. So a lot of people slept on him. Now I knew he was good, and I respected him as being a good fighter. But in the Tank fight, he showed me the ability that he might have the chance to be a great fighter, honestly. Because you're coming up in weight, you're fighting one of the faces of boxing as the B side with everything stacked against you, and you perform like that. I gotta give some credence and give some thought to me that maybe Lamont Roach might have the chance to go down as a great fighter. Um, it's so crazy to me because me and Sean Tatel will probably talk about this on our live, but the day of the night before the fight, I was in the hotel lobby, one of the hotels near the arena. I was staying there, and I was talking to some people downstairs on the first floor about Tank versus Roach, and someone had asked me. They said, "BT, what round do you think Tank will knock Roach out in?" And I said, "I think Tank will get him out of there in 6 rounds." Now, this gentleman overheard me, and I forgot his name. I wish I remembered his name. But this gentleman from the DMV area overheard what me and Sean were saying, and he told us. He said, "Look, Tank ain't the same. Look at his eyes. Tank ain't the same person. Lamont Roach is gonna beat him. Lamont Roach is gonna put a beating on him." I've known both of them since they were kids. The guy was telling me he had known both of them since they were kids. He was one of Lamont Roach's sponsors, and he was so adamant about it. Now, at the time, me and Sean Tatel amongst ourselves, we're like laughing at the guy, like this guy, like look at this guy here being a Lamont Roach fanboy. He's just capping for his guy Lamont. He don't know what he's talking about. But it turns out that gentleman who was trying to give us the game, trying to show us the large picture, he was actually the right one, and we were the fools. So if I ever see him again, I'll get him on video and give him his respect because he told me how it was. Listen, man, Lamont Roach is an amazing fighter. He really is. I respect him. And I was saying that this point right here, I'm gonna tell you guys this because I was saying this before he fought Tank. One thing I respect about him is that when his Golden Boy contract was up, he left Golden Boy, and then he started promoting himself. Like him and his dad have their own promotional company, No Excuse Promotions. And what's crazy is when Lamont was getting ready to fight Hector Garcia, and that fight went to purse bid, they put up their own money in the purse bid. Yes, they put in a $246,000 bid for the fight, for on behalf of No Excuse Promotions, and that actually wound up driving the value of the Hector Garcia fight. I think the final amount was like $319,000. TGB Promotions won the purse bid, and the fight happened on PBC. But they put the money where their mouth is. They self-promoted themselves. They've overcome a lot in the boxing game, and I got a lot of respect for them. So hopefully he don't get too complacent off of his newfound success and fans and fame in the sport, and come back even better in the Tank fight. So yeah. Shout out to Pop. He says great input. Zatel and BT really love it too. Masterminds talking boxing. Thank you, Dad. But I don't know how much of a mastermind we could be. We both had Lamont Roach getting his ass up by Tank, and that didn't happen. So Hyro says, since we saw the WBA champ move to challenge the WBA up a weight class, what if Foster challenges for the WBA title? We cannot write off the champion from a lower weight class. You're talking about O'Shaquie Foster versus who? Lamont Roach or who? I enjoy BT and Zatel collabs. I learn a lot hearing y'all talk boxing. No glazing, but you two are boxing encyclopedias. Yeah, and the crazy thing is there's always the thing with boxing, and the reason why I love the sport so much is that there's so many fighters, there's so many fights going on in different parts of the world. No matter how much time you put in, no matter how much you think you know, you're always going to overlook somebody because there's always a diamond in the rough somewhere. There's always a guy from some corner of the world or America that nobody's paying attention to. So you can always learn something. If the eyes tell a story, then Ryan Garcia is about to put a beating in Rolly. Oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah, I think it's gonna get pretty bad for for Rolly. Straight up. Rolly. I mean, listen, Rolly's physically strong because maybe if he can get on the inside, he can do something with Ryan. But I got Ryan in that fight. Props to True for being truthful. I take my hat out to Lamont. He's a great competitor, an amazing competitor. That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you not respect? Like, I want you guys, apart from Lamont Roach, who I just named, I want you guys who are downplaying him to name me 5 fighters in boxing right now who have promoted themselves and have put in a purse bid for their own world title fights. Let me know. If you guys can name me 5 fighters, apart from Lamont Roach, that have put in a purse bid for their own world title fight, let me know. Because Lamont Roach might be, he's like one of the only ones I can think of. Everybody else, they got big promoters behind them that put in money, so cool for them. But I don't know too many fighters that have done that, and Lamont Roach's best attributes. What I've learned is what this fight has taught me about Lamont Roach is that his best attribute is not his boxing IQ. It's not his counter punching. It's not his defense in the pocket. It's not his jab. It's not anything that has to do with his actual boxing skills. His best attribute is his confidence, because everything he's actually said over the years, he really believes that shit, and he proved it when he actually put in a purse bid on behalf of himself. Harrow says, "What if Foster challenged Shakur Stevenson?" Oh man, that's a good fight. That was a fight that they wanted to make at 130 a couple years ago. That's a fight that should be explored. O'Shaquie Foster's a good boxer. He's shown the ability to rumble and fight in the pocket as well. I would be all for that fight if Shakur can't get the fights against the big names at 135, then I'm okay with him fighting Foster. Props to True, keeping it real. None of us predicted this fight correctly. This is why we love boxing. I like it when I'm wrong. For sure. 1,000%. I love it when I'm wrong too. BT, you need to make a video about Oscar Duarte. He's been on our streak recently. I made a YouTube short about Oscar Duarte. And I said that, I think in that short I said that Oscar should fight Teofimo Lopez and I forgot who else it was. But yeah, Oscar's doing this thing. Good fighter, strong. Yeah, man. Oh, shit. What'd I do? Okay, here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. But anyway, next talking point. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's here with me. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire, live early in the day. If you're at work, if you're going on your lunch break, if it's a day off, whatever day it is for you in your life, I hope you guys are enjoying the live. Yeah, still trying to make sense of what happened on Saturday. So the next talking point is this, because a lot of you guys have been mentioning this about Tank and Lomachenko, because a report has come out that basically Gervonta Davis and his team of representatives have reached out to fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, this is a good fight. I mean, it's still a good fight even now, but let's be honest, man. Let's just be honest. Lomachenko was old. We all know he don't give a damn about boxing no more, and we know that he kind of lost his love for the sport after the Devin Haney fight, where they stole his victory from him against Devin Haney. He beat George Kambosos to become champion again, so he can end on a high note. There's no reason for him to keep fighting. He's proven what he needed to prove in his career. He's been in a lot of great fights. He's always challenged the best fighters in the world. Lomachenko versus Tank, and that whole fight, that ship sailed. And quite frankly, it sailed a long time ago in my mind. For years, back in the day, when Tank became a world champion, what was it, like 2017? The optimum time to make Tank versus Lomachenko would have been somewhere between 2017 and 2020. That was the 3-year window to make that fight. Honestly, would it have been acceptable in 2021? Sure. But the best time to make that fight was 2017 to 2020. Now, what was happening in 2017 and 2020? Well, all we heard from Tank and his team was that Lomachenko needs to rush to fight me, as to where I'm young and I can take my time. But then, now when Lomachenko's old and he doesn't really need to do anything because he proved what he needed to prove in boxing, now all of a sudden Tank wants to fight him. Nah, man. That ship is sailed. Stop trying to fight Tank, because I'll tell you like this right now. If he fights Lomachenko right now, I don't care what nobody has to say about this. If hypothetically, if Tank were to fight Lomachenko next, I would say he's ducking Lamont Roach. It's a clear duck because you're fighting Tank, you're fighting Lomachenko at this point because you know he's old and you know he's on the way out. He's got 1 foot out the door already, and he's a name. That's all it is for. So then you can say, "Oh, we beat a great fighter. We beat an A-level fighter." Nah, man, you need to go fight Lamont Roach. The fact that they even tried to make a Lomachenko fight at this point in time, like Lomachenko's name right now is not even relevant to the conversation, to the situation. He doesn't pertain to like what's going on with Tank right now. The only the only 3 fighters really that Tank should be talking about are Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, and Keyshawn Davis. If you're not talking about one of them 3, I really don't want to hear it. You had plenty of opportunities. You had ample time to fight Lomachenko, and you chose not to do it. You know, I remember it all too well because that was back in the day when I didn't like Tank. There was a point in time when I didn't like Tank, and I remember I was being very critical at that time of the strategy that Mayweather Promotions and all parties involved were employing at that time. But I can't argue with the results. Like Tank developed into being one of the biggest ticket sellers in boxing and one of the biggest stars in the sport. So they got the outcome they wanted. They made a guy that became a box office attraction, which is hard to do in boxing. And I respect the work that went into that. But we're not going to sit here and act like you didn't duck Lomachenko. And the fact that you're even trying to fight Lomachenko now is a slap in the face to all boxing fans, honestly. So that's where I stand on that. What do you guys think? If Tank could choose his next 3 fights, it would probably be Roach, Pitbull, and Jake Paul. Probably. I'd rather see Keyshawn or Shakur versus Loma. David been pushing for it more. Tank had his chance damn near having. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was what, 2017, 2016, 2017. We're in 2025. We're talking about damn near 10 years ago. Come on, man. That was back in like that was back during during the Obama administration. Come on. We don't need that. Great point. Roach had that strong mental confidence, which is why he was so calm, not afraid while smiling. Yeah. Best thing about him was his confidence. Why has he not been stripped of his belt? Lomachenko needs to relinquish that. Let Roach or someone else fight for that if Tank duck. I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing Roach fight for that belt. I know Raymond Murataya is supposed to fight Zaur Abdullah for that belt. I wouldn't mind Roach getting a shot at the title because he should be champion right now, but they took it from him. So let him fight Murataya. Truth be told, I mean, Murataya is a good fighter. I never really rated him as highly as other people. I think Lamont Roach can beat Murataya because Murataya is a fighter that in order for you to beat him, you need to be in the pocket and you need to exchange with him, which I think Lamont Roach will. But I think Lamont Roach has the know-how and the skills to handle him in the pocket. You know, Murataya couldn't even handle Tevin Farmer, so I don't think I think Lamont Roach could beat him on points. I like that fight, but I don't think it happens. Hiram wants to know, how do you have Ryan, Devin, Tiafimo all on the same card and not fighting each other? But hey, at least they're giving us the fights. Yeah, guys, that's the new catchphrases. We got 2 new catchphrases here on True School Sports. One of the catchphrases is, "I cannot deny what my 4 eyes saw" whenever I talk about boxing, and then the other catchphrase is to troll all the Saudi Arabia like dick riders because Turkey could put on the most mid fights ever because he has. I mean, not every fight that Turkey has put on is a home run, fight. He's had some pretty mid ass cards before, but people will still say, "At least you're getting the fights," So that's my other catchphrase. These Tank Davis fanboys are in shambles, and I love it. Yeah, man. Hey, every fanboy will have his day. That's why I'm saying you can't fanboy fighters. I love Tank. Like Tank is one of my favorite fighters. He's growing to become one of my favorite fighters in boxing. But I think he lost, and I got no problem coming here and telling you guys that he put belt to ass. Pop says, "Are you by the gym?" not by the gym. I'm at that park. You know that park you showed me? The one that you said that you go walk sometimes? I'm at that park on a bench. So if you walk in the park, Pops, I'll be on a bench. Matt Borgeson, shout out to you with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you, champ. He says, honestly, if a fighter struggles with Tevin Farmer, I think it's kind of a limit test that they aren't 100% at the elite level. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think Ram Murataya is a creme de la creme top shelf fighter like Top Rank wants to make him out to be. I think he needs a certain style in front of him to look good and win and be sensational. And if you look at Ram Murataya's career, those styles are styles like what Diego Torres brought to the table, what guys like Jesus Perez brought to the table. Fighters that come forward, exchange, front foot dominant, leaky defense. Anyone who's a counterpuncher, can punch on the move, has a chin, has good work rate, all those attributes together, give him a hard time. So like Lamont Roach, I think would be hell on earth for Ray Murataya, truth be told. But who knows, man? He's a strong kid. He's a big puncher, but there's just certain guy. He needs a certain guy in front of him to look good. That's why I was saying, like, when Baranchik still had the belt, I was saying that I felt like Baranchik versus Murataya would have been an interesting fight because Baranchik can move and he can box. He just can't punch. So maybe Murataya would have knocked him out, but I think with his ability to box and move, that might have given him some problems. Ooh, Matt Borges says, hot take, but I think if Abdullah Mason would have fought Tank on March 1st, he would have stopped him. Damn. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm the president. I'm the president of the Abdullah Mason fan club. I love Abdullah Mason. I think Abdullah Mason, when he gets to the world level, I think Abdullah Mason will beat all these guys and turn them all over. And everyone, Keyshawn, Shakur, everyone. You name them, I feel like he's gonna beat all these dudes. But yeah, man, I feel like if that version of Tank would have fought Abdullah Mason, he might have got beat up. Because one thing about Abdullah, his defense. Now, to be fair, Abdullah Mason's defense is not as tight or as good as Lamont Roach's. Lamont Roach has tighter defense than Abdullah Mason. But that artillery he's throwing, that artillery that Abdullah Mason's throwing, the punch selection, different. He's different, man. I'll tell you guys a quick story. I've told it before, but maybe for some of you guys, this might be the first time you guys hear this story from me. You never heard me say it before. So in 2023, I'm gonna say it was 2023. Yeah, in 2023, Abdullah Mason had came down to Miami for some sparring, and I know the Mason family very well. Like I know his dad real well. I know his brother Amir Mason and me are cool, really cool. And then I know Abdullah too. And they had asked me where is the best place to get sparring because I had told the Masons for about a year or so that if they ever came down to South Florida, that let me know. I'll get them some sparring, right? So they came to South Florida. I got them some sparring, right? At this one gym. And so they put Abdullah Mason in there with a 154 pounder. I won't say his name because if I say his name, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about if I say his name. But they put Abdullah Mason in there with a 154 pounder, and he beat the hell out of this 154 pounder in 2 rounds. He made him. He ended the sparring, and he cut the guy with a right hook. He threw a right hook, and he cut this dude. And he was a 154 pounder, and he's a good fighter too. Like the guy that he was beating up is actually a good fighter. He's a prospect. He signed to a big promotional company, all that stuff. And Abdullah Mason just made him look like he's a can. So I know how good he is. Yeah, Tevin Farmer. I thought Tevin Farmer beat Zepeda. I thought he beat Zepeda. Or not Zepeda. Zepeda was close. I think the Zepeda fight was a little closer. I thought Tevin Farmer really beat Murataya. And, a lot of the guys at Top Rank had a problem with me saying that. I had Brad Goodman press me one day about it, but, that's my opinion, and I stood on it like a man. You got to be talking about Xander in that sparring story. I will not confirm nor deny who it was. I will not confirm nor deny who it was. So you guys can think you guys can think of who you want it to be. I won't say yes and I won't say no. I'm not gonna answer it. Could be, could not be. Might be Xander, might not be Xander. We don't know. Abdullah is 20, 21, and he damn near already has every tool in the toolbox. He's amazing, man. He's a great fighter. He's a great young talent. I'm really intrigued though, because I feel like, even though he's a great talent, any fighter can get exposed. Any fighter, whether I like him or not, any fighter is liable to have me come on here in one of these videos and say that they got absolutely positively exposed, right? So that could be Abdullah. And his next fight, he's fighting a real tricky style in Gervonta Cabrera. Gervonta Cabrera has upset fighters before. And he's not an easy guy to look good against. So my thing is this: if Abdullah goes in there, I know Cabrera just got his ass waxed by Zepeda in like 2 or 3 rounds. Maybe it's not quite the statement it used to be, but to me, it's still a statement because Cabrera he got an ugly style. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does against Gervonta Cabrera. Matt Borgensen says he's talking about Erickson Lubin. I will not confirm nor deny whom the 154 pounder is that I'm talking about. You guys could be right. You guys could be wrong. But either way, I'm not telling you. Let me ask you this, BT. What do you think about Abdullah when he gets a title shot? When do you think he'll get a title shot? Realistically, I don't think he's getting a title shot this year. I think in 2025 he'll get 2 step-up fights. So he'll get Giovanni Cabrera is a good step up. Giovanni's a guy that's gonna allow Abdullah to see a different type of style see a different type of style and maybe get a different look, get a different look and work on some things. If he passes that test, then I would say Abdullah probably fights somebody in the top 10, top 5. And then I would say probably about the spring or summer of 2026 is when you can expect Abdullah Mason to get a title shot. I think, because his next fight I think is in Vegas, right? I think it's in Vegas. After that, they're gonna let Abdullah Mason finally headline his own card in Cleveland. Then he's gonna go ahead and fight for the title. So I would say like the middle of next year, he could legit like win a world title by the age of 21. All right, last thing. All right, last thing about Tank, because this live was about Tank, and I want to get this last talking point off. Shout out to everybody here rocking with your boy BT. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, super chat. Give me all your thoughts down below. It's been a great live so far. I'm giving y'all some beautiful aesthetics. I'm here at the park. It's a nice park actually. I've never been to this park. It's pretty nice. But yeah, I'm here in nature, enjoying God's creation, getting that fresh air. But Gervonta Davis and Calvin Ford. Let me get signed off on this because really and truthfully, one of the coolest relationships I've seen in boxing amongst any fighter and trainer is the relationship between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis. There are 2 people that I've been through a lot coming up in Baltimore. They both have served a great purpose in each other's lives. And like Calvin Ford is one of the biggest reasons Tank is where he's at today. So I don't like seeing Tank Davis and Calvin Ford not on the same page. I don't like seeing. I honestly did not like the move of Tank getting Barry Hunter at all, because I felt like Barry Hunter, with the way he trains fighters, it was gonna play right into Lamont Roach's game plan. Like, Barry Hunter comes from Headbangers Gym. He runs Headbangers Gym, and Headbangers Gym in DC is known for fighters that fight in the pocket, dog it out with you in the pocket, and yeah, they dog it out with you in the pocket. And so Lamar Roach is that kind of fighter. I feel like Calvin Ford, Kenny Ellis, the original team, like, that's who Tank should be sticking with going and get into the dance. So I don't know what the issue is. If I had to take a guess as to what the issue is, normally in boxing, when a fighter and a trainer, and not even just a fighter or trainer, but when members of teams start clashing or feuding, it's normally always over money. I know firsthand about that, So it's always about money. So I that's my guess. It has to be something money related. But either way, this little bit of money or whatever it is, even if it's not money, whatever is doesn't have Tank Davis and Calvin Ford on the same page, they need to find a way to overcome that because I don't foresee a world where a Calvin Fordless Tank, because in my mind, like that wasn't Calvin Ford trained Tank, right? A Calvin Fordless Tank, a Kenny Ellis-less Tank, those guys not spearheading Tank Davis in the corner. I don't think that the best Tank can present himself without those guys. So you got to stick with the guys that got you to the dance, with all due respect to the OG Barry Hunter. But if he wants to fulfill his potential, not just in the Lamont Roach rematch, but in boxing, he needs to straighten out with Calvin Ford. And not even just that, right? When you have a deep love and bond with someone and you really care for them and they do something to hurt you, you got to find a way to overcome like those things, right? Like I'll tell you guys this, right? I won't get too deep into it, but like I'm going through a situation personally with someone I know in boxing where, we're clashing heads right now and I have to overcome these feelings I have towards them that I feel are justified because my feelings for them as a person and our friendship, it supersedes my little feelings of being hurt, right? And vice versa. They had to do the same thing on their end. So I'm speaking from personal experience. They need to get this shit together. So hopefully, they do because I want to see the best Gervonta Davis possible because the best Gervonta Davis I feel is what's best for boxing, So that'll conclude my talking points. That will conclude all of my talking points. From now to the end of the live, y'all can ask me whatever you want. Let me see what time is it? Because I got to be on Sean's channel here in a little bit. Hold on, guys. It's 12:16, so it's 9 over there. All right, so I'm gonna go in even 2 hours. I'm gonna go in even 2 hours. Apparently, my dad's on the way to the park. So Pops will be here in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Pops will be here soon. We got a couple super chats. Shout out to Matt. He says, "Is Mason a sugar soon?" I'm not sure what you mean by that, Matt. What's a sugar soon? I don't I don't know what you mean by a sugar soon. So you gotta put me on game. I don't know what you're trying to say. Rephrase your question. Is Mason a sugar soon? David Asher says, any chance Abdullah goes to dance with Cabrera? I'm done with him if he does. Yes. I would say there's definitely a chance that Cabrera makes this fight ugly and makes Mason look not so good at times and gets his ass beat, but still goes the distance. But I would still say Mason by stoppage, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Cabrera goes ahead and stinks the place out and takes him the distance. Sugar of you're saying is he like Sugar Ray Leonard? Is he like Sugar Robinson? Sugar Abdullah Mason? It's a little too soon. It's a little too soon. But sometimes he does look like he could be like that. What are your issues with Turkey, bro? You don't think he's good for boxing? Listen, man, I don't. Come on, man. Why I gotta ask you this, man? I don't want to like go through this right now. I don't. I'm having a good day. It's Tuesday. I got my workout in. The sun is up. I have a little smoothie. Listen, I don't think he's all bad, but I don't think he's all good. I think long term he's not good for boxing at all. I think short term he's good for certain fighters. Like I think he's good for the fighters that he works with, like he gets them paid. I think he's great for the guys like Martin Bacoli and Aji Caballel. I just think that, with the fights being on the zone, the visibility of his fights are only going to be but so much. So I don't think he's really doing anything to bring boxing back to the mainstream. Now, the Times Square card is a good idea. I'll give him credit for that. But I just think long term he's not good for boxing. I've explained it in a lot of other videos. I don't feel like explaining it right now. But yeah. To answer your question, no, I don't think he's good for boxing. He says, "Come on, bro. I've been stuck for years. I need an answer." I've explained it so many times. I'm just tired of explaining it. It's annoying to have to explain over and over again. Because I'm gonna explain it this live, In the next live, I have to explain it again, and I'm just tired of explaining it. I just think boxing in Saudi Arabia isn't what's best for boxing. Like, I'll leave it at that. It's not good. Like, hold on, before I get to this comment, it's just not. It's not. Boxing can't be in the best space possible if. Okay, so like for example, right, the card they just had in Saudi, it was it was a good card, right? A lot of good fights. You look at like Hamza Shiraz versus Adames. You look at Buati versus Callum Smith. You look at Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield. There was at least 3 or 4 cards on that card that could have main evented in the UK or the USA and done well. Like, done well on the right venues, right? The USA and the UK lost both those venues. So yes, we got a good card for that one day. It was a good card and I enjoyed it. But the USA and the UK losing so many fights to Saudi Arabia is not good for the health of boxing because the UK and the USA are two of the strongest markets for boxing. Um, that's what I'm saying. Like his main objective is to build boxing in this country, and I get it. But I just don't think boxing can be everything it can be if the USA boxing market and the UK boxing market are the best they can be. I feel like boxing was in a very healthy space in 2017 when Anthony Joshua was selling out stadiums in the UK, and then PBC had a consistent schedule. Like that's when I believe boxing was in a healthy space, from a commercial standpoint. Um, it's not even like hating either, because like if you just go look at like I challenge anybody who has a Twitter to go do this exercise. The next big Saudi card, I want you guys to go look at the views on the tweets. Like give it like 6 to 7, 8 hours. Look at the views on the tweets after 6 to 7 to 8 hours, and then compare it to like PBC or anything tank related, and you'll see that they don't get the same amount of views because boxing, the entertainment capital of the world is in America, right? So if you can't gain attention in the entertainment capital of the world, the sport will never be as strong as it can be. So that's like a very small piece of why I think that. Kansas City Max says salute to your breakdowns. Thank you, man. Mad respect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Pops, where you at, man? My phone's on 20%. I gotta charge this shit to go on Sean's channel soon. Where you at, Pops? I'm at the park. I don't see you nowhere. You said you were 2 minutes away. Where you at? If you're in the comment section, Pops, let me know where you're at, cause I'm at the park. It's easier to get wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong about that. Because see, in the States, when the fights are at night, you can bring them to the fight, or it comes to the fight. So, you know, you're on that one too. Boxing needs to be one league. Maybe it can go back to how it was in the HBO days. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They're trying to do that now. We'll see how it works. It looks like we're gonna get a boxing league, so we'll see how it goes. Another issue I have with the Saudi stuff is that there's so much focus on the big fights, which cool, make the big fights happen. But I think for the most part they've neglected uh prospects and the young fighters, because you don't often see like prospects or young fighters on the card, and I feel like you owe it. As many of you guys know with this channel, I'm very big on fighter development. I'm always into like prospects and things like that. My dad says he's on the opposite side of the park. He said he sees me. Where? I don't see you. All right, so guys, Pops is gonna be here in a second. He's gonna be here in a second to give you guys some Lamont Roach thoughts, but I don't see him. He's on the opposite side of the park. What the hell is he? Well, I guess you'll get here when you get here. I'll be waiting. Listen, I don't think I don't know how boxing will function as a league, but we'll find out. We'll definitely find out here sooner rather than later, because it looks like uh Turkey and what is it, Endeavor and Top Rank and all of them, they're all getting together, Dana White and them. So we're gonna go ahead and see. What are my thoughts on Julius Ballo? I'll be honest with you. I've been hearing about Julius Ballo for years. I know I hear he's really good. I know he's a decorated amateur. I haven't really seen him yet, so I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be dishonest with you and act like I know about Julius Ballo. I don't know about Julius Ballo like that. So when I have some thoughts to give you, I'll drop a video on him and you can go watch it. But I don't have any right now. But I'm looking forward to him. I think he's making his pro debut soon. I know he's gotta be pretty good if Bob Arum actually showed up to Top Rank to come watch him train. He's gotta be pretty good because Bob Arum never goes to Top Rank gym for anything. Lynn Saul says my channel is very good. Thank you so much, man. I put a lot of work into it. Joet Gonzalez and that Asian Ukrainian guy is a good fight. Yeah, Joet Gonzalez versus Arnold K guy. That's this week. I actually think the winner of that fight is going to wind up being an Angelo Leo opponent for a voluntary. So be on the lookout for that. That the winner of that fight is more than likely going to be an Angelo Leo opponent within the next 6 to 9 months. You heard it here first. So let's hear you cook, man. He's going to get his feet wet. He's going to develop prospects, I'm sure. I mean, look, man. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. One thing I can like one positive thing I can say about Turkey and Saudi, because look, I'm a fair guy. Like, yeah, I have my thoughts and I stand on everything I say, but I'm a fair guy. The WBC and Saudi are doing like this tournament. They're doing a tournament called, I think it's called the Saudi Cup or the WBC Cup or something like that. And it's gonna have like 32 fighters. I can't remember if it was 32 fighters or 64 fighters from different weight classes. And it's like it's like it's for fighters that like are 9-0 or less, like 10-0 or less, like prospects. And so it's gonna be starting up soon. And the funny thing about it is I had a fighter that I know personally, a fighter by the name of Jermaine Hardison. He's the WBA Asia. No, he's the WBA East Asia Pacific champion. He's from Vietnam. He's from America, but he lives in Vietnam and he fights out of Vietnam. And my boy Jermaine's gonna be in that tournament, so I'm in the process of helping Jermaine get ready for the tournament and whatnot. And I'm gonna do what I can, use my influence in the boxing world to get him as prepared as possible for the tournament. But yeah, I like that. I'm looking forward to see how that goes. Turkey and Suleiman Dagestan want to have a boxing World Cup. No, it's already happening. They've already contacted fighters about it because I know a fighter who told me that he's gonna be in it soon. Joet is still at 126. Yes, he's still at 126, and if he wins this fight, he could be getting a fourth world title shot. So stay tuned. Where you at? Yeah, Pops. Where are you at, man? This man said I see you. This park ain't that damn big. Look, guys, hold on. I can't reverse it because I'm on StreamYard, but normally like I could reverse the camera. But look, guys. So the park's not that big. You know, he could be on that side or that side. I don't know where he's at, but it's not a big park. So I don't know where he's at. It shouldn't be too hard to find him. Why are you looking around like you got ops, BT? No, I'm looking for my dad. My dad said he's at the park, so I'm looking for my dad because he wants to come here and talk to y'all for like a couple of minutes before my phone dies and I can't find him. I ain't afraid of no ops. I don't got any ops. Well, I'll be watching Booker vs. Pandora. PBC has all the belts 154. And Sylvia Brown. Shout out to Sylvia Brown, though, which I know is really high roll. As far as that fight, I might actually wind up going to that fight. If they put Joseph, well, let me be quiet. Let me shut up before I get somebody in trouble. Harold said, read my comment. What's his comment say? What comment? BT Hiroka versus Gary Anton Russell is a good fight. Two inactive fighters that fight once a year. Well, aside from that, Iro, it's also two very explosive southpaw dynamic power punchers, you know, and like Andy Hiroka is number one. He's probably one of the most underrated fighters from Japan right now, and he's looking for his opportunity to have his breakout fight. So we want to see that fight. I want to see that fight. Pops is probably out there sightseeing, enjoying life. Probably he's probably just enjoying his time alone. My dad's a busy man. He's always being driven up a wall by people. So yeah, he's probably just enjoying nature. But I don't see him. It's like, you know, you guys know the where's Waldo, where's Pops. I'm about to go walk and look for him myself. Because let's see. Let me check my phone battery because I was on 20% like a couple minutes ago. Hold on. All right, so right now I'm on 12%. So Pops 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 don't got much time. The phone's gonna die. I gotta go charge it. I gotta go get ready for Jean to tell. So if y'all got any comments, listen, I gave y'all 90 minutes. I don't know where Pops is. But let me see. Damn, I always hear about how special Ryan is with those that have been in the gym with them. Oh no, he's special, man. I'll tell you right now. I haven't even seen, like, there's people that have commented on these videos that have seen a lot more than me when it comes to Ryan. Ryan Garcia, I've seen him like train, just like, you know, hit the bag, hit the pads. Never seen him spar, but just even like with him hitting the pads and him training and things like that, his speed is a lot different than a lot of fighters. His power is a lot different than a lot of fighters. He's one of them guys. He got that shit. He has the X factor. He has things you can't teach in boxing. So I feel like, or you know, I feel as though my tank voice. I feel as though if Ryan gets it right and he really locks all the way in, and he really gives himself 150% to the sport of boxing, he's gonna wind up turning into a special fighter. So we shall see how it goes. But guys, look, let me see. I'm gonna give it like 2 more minutes. If I can't find my dad, if I can't spot my dad in this damn park in 2 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and end this live because I don't see him nowhere. Pops, where are you at? My phone's on 10% anyway, so it's not like my dad can even say that much about Lamont Roach. Tank. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I should just do a separate live, maybe tomorrow, about Pops is he said he's by FedEx. What the hell is FedEx? Oh, he's that way. I think he's that way. Well, look, my phone's gonna die. My phone's gonna die, Pop. So I think we'll just do a separate live another day, maybe tomorrow. We'll do a live tomorrow because my phone's gonna die. My dad's gonna have a lot to say, and I want people to hear him when he's on a live. So Pops, I'll meet you. I know where you're at, but I'm gonna end the live. So look, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate everyone who super chatted and contributed and offered their thoughts. We had the Ring Magazine press conference later on with Tio and Devin and Rolly and Ryan and all those kind of guys. So I'll be making some videos to that later on. I'll probably be live with Pops tomorrow around the same time I went live today. So yeah, you guys, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Keep supporting. We're gonna be at 86,000 subscribers by the end of the week, so getting really close to that 100,000 mark, and I'm very appreciative of it. And yeah, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.